You're watching Bread and Roses, a weekly political social magazine that's broadcast in English and Persian via New Channel TV. Hello everyone, I'm Maryam Namazie.
And I'm Fariborz Pooya. In this week's program, we'll be interviewing Ajanta Deb Roy, who is a Bangladeshi secularist and she's on death list of the Islamist.
We'll also be talking about Rouhani's visit to Europe and a little something about wine, as well as protests in Iran against racism against the Turks, and protests in Afghanistan against various things, which we'll tell you about in the program, as well as a Shiro cafe of acid attack victims and survivors, as well as a fatwa that isn't true, but it's so funny, we thought we'd bring it to you. Stay with us. Rouhani, the Iranian president, is on a tour to Europe and he's visiting Italy and France. And of course, there's a scandal already, and it's the fact that the French government had to cancel their dinner for him because he didn't want any wine served nor any non-halal food served. So yeah. He didn't want any wine there.
We'll have the wine, and I think that's good on French government to cancel the dinner for him. He shouldn't actually be welcomed.
Why are they giving him a dinner? What? He should be in jail.
He shouldn't actually he shouldn't be welcomed in Europe.
Of course.
Under his government, 2,000 people have been executed, and he was responsible for a lot of murder before he became prime minister, president in Iran. And that's the thing. The French and the European companies are tripping over each other to have these. I mean, you could see, the economic interest is overtaking the human rights and the outrageous and fascist government that exists in Iran. Yeah. And I think that's just wrong.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a visit about money and economics and how they are going to trade with Iran, how they're going to make money off of Iran. Again, this is really blood money. This is a regime that has killed so many people. How dare they offer him a dinner, first of all, and how dare they give him the red carpet treatment when there are so many people in Iran languishing in prison and, living under a theocracy in the 21st century. Now, again, if we're talking about some of the things that the regime has done, one of it is, of course, its immense racism against various ethnicities in Iran, Arabs, Turks. You hear about this all the time. And the most recent scandal is, of course, two of the Iranian regime's programs have talked about Turks in a really derogatory manner.
And this is a state-driven. In Iran, the government and media is completely controlled by the Islamic government, so there's no sort of spontaneous thing. This is very well-designed attack on the Azeri-speaking people in Iran, and there's been protests everywhere and people are objected to that. And I think we need to recognize the Islamic and this regime always generates racism against various ethnic groups and nationalities in Iran.
Yeah, one of the poles of an Islamic regime is, of course, misogyny against women. Another very important pole of this government and this movement is racism. Yeah, definitely. And talking about protests, there was some wonderful protests in Kabul against the stoning of Rokhshana. Wonderful banners and logos. One of them said, it said we should cut off the filthy hands of the merchants of religion, so that we will not have to every day be witness to the many Farkhondes and many Rokhshanas in Afghanistan.
Absolutely. And this is, again, you could see the role of state, Afghan state here. When you listen to the debate within the parliament, so-called parliament in Afghanistan, you could see actually they are in agreement with the stoning. They're just saying, look, you need to manage this. That's what it is. But the reality is that people of Afghanistan are sick and tired of Sharia law, Islamic government, and really they don't want this. And this is just perpetrated by the state and Islamists who've taken over all institutions in Afghanistan.
But the biggest irony is the fact that, after Rokhshana's stoning, the government has sent, and they've called it, the president has called it a heinous act, and he sent a commission to investigate. Now, one of the people in this delegation, this presidential delegation,
who's heading the delegation,
he's within the National Ulama Council, and he believes that there is nothing wrong with stoning. He is supportive of stoning. He thinks stoning should take place, but he just wants to make sure that it was done properly.
Yeah.
Now, this is added outrage. The Taliban stones, the government of Afghanistan continues defending stoning and sends delegates that actually condone stoning. It's outrageous.
And that's the thing. States in Middle East, where the Islamists have power, they're actually part and parcel of the problem. What do you do in this situation?
Yeah. Well, I think we have to put so much pressure on the Afghan government because it's not just the Taliban that is condoning and doing these acts. Very often you find that there are people within the government itself that supports it. So putting immense pressure on the Afghan government, we have to say that Rokhshana is going to be the last woman stoned, full stop, the last woman stoned. The insane fatwa of the week is from Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Abdullah, a mufti in Saudi Arabia. It's been all over the news that he has issued a fatwa which has come out to be not true. And so we're telling you this in case you're, waiting to eat your wives, because, one of the fatwas that he is supposedly have given is that if a man is starving, he should be able to eat his wife because, he owns his wife.
Or there are certain circumstances that is justifiable. And
yes, tell us the circumstances.
Yeah, that is, you're desperate, you have no food, you can't do that.
You eat your wife.
But, according to him.
Yeah. Well, we just want to warn viewers who are waiting with their knives and forks, to dig into their wives.
It's not true.
It's not true. So you're going to need to stop now.
I think the issue is that you can't actually. We went through the whole sort of social media. A lot of people start talking about it because you actually can't. You don't put this beyond the Islamists. It's possible that they do that.
Yeah.
When we investigated, he said that he hasn't said it, and.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, so we don't have really a proper fatwa for this week.
So hold off on eating your wives
until next week. I'm sure there will be another one come up next week,
and then dig in. I don't know if you've heard about this wonderful cafe near the Taj Mahal in Agra. It's called Sheroes Cafe, and it's Sheroes Hangout, and it's basically something that was set up via crowdfunding where survivors of acid attacks have come together and set up this cafe. And it's a wonderful place where you can go have a coffee, have some delicious food, and also meet women who have survived acid attacks and are in a way fighting back.
No, absolutely, and society accepting the group who actually physically deformed, because the acid attack is a phenomenon in Middle East. In Iran last year we had a major state-sponsored acid attack in Isfahan and a number of other
against
cities,
women who are not properly veiled.
And there was huge demonstrations. But sometimes there's an issue of people sort of, once they are physically deformed, they hide away. They're not seen in public, and public doesn't accept them. But they've come out in the society, and they've formed a cafe, and it's brilliant, and they're so successful that they're supported everywhere. And if you incidentally go and visit Taj Mahal, make sure you go and visit the Sheroes Hangout.
Yeah, it says it's women who have dealt with the pain of a charred face and a scarred soul. Really inspirational stuff. We'll now watch an interview I did recently with Ajanta Deb Roy. She's a Bangladeshi secularist who is on an Islamist death list. She'll be talking about the situation of free thinkers in Bangladesh, as well as what she and others are doing to resist the situation. Stay with us. Welcome, Ajanta. I wanted to ask you about the situation in Bangladesh, particularly for free thinkers.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. And the situation in Bangladesh is well publicized internationally. So you know already what's been happening in Bangladesh for the last 7 months. There's already 5 killings in 7 months, and 3 more are critically injured. So the situation is really, really worrying right now. Yeah.
And what's surprising, I think, or very, angers a lot of people is the fact that the government isn't really doing anything, and also sometimes making excuses.
Yeah, you were right. Actually, the thing is, when the first murder happened of Ajanta Roy, we expected the government to take action rapidly because he was a very well-known writer, and his father is a well-known professor in Dhaka University. He is a well-known writer as well. But surprisingly, the Prime Minister, she called Ajanta Roy's father, but secretly, because they didn't want to publish it to the media, or they didn't want anyone to know that the Prime Minister actually showed sympathy to an atheist father. And the government is playing the religion card to keep those, it's like they're repeatedly making concessions with those fundamentalist extremists, because they know that there are like a huge number of people they are taking the side of those extremists because of the religion card that they are playing. And more surprisingly, the Prime Minister's son, he already clearly said that they cannot take a direct stand for these killings of the freethinkers. And also the recent murder that happened of publishers. Deepon, he was killed. He was one of the publishers who published Ajanta Roy's book. And the Home Minister, he said this is an isolated incident, and this kind of situation and this kind of murders is happening in all over the world. That means he's not, either he's not giving importance to this sort of killings, otherwise he's just denying it, just to, just to show that, just to deny the responsibility that he has failed. He doesn't want to accept the failings in that matter. So this situation is really worrying, because the government has completely failed to address the situation, because no one from the government, Prime Minister, Home Minister, or no one from the government has given any speech yet that can comfort us that they are taking this matter seriously. And also the police, they're not showing any actions. Even a police officer got killed the same way. They didn't even shoot the killers. One officer got killed, 3-4 they ran away, and they had the gun with them, but they didn't shoot anybody. So this kind of situation, and only after the killings, they ordered that, okay, you can shoot the killers if somebody attack you. I don't know why they didn't do it before. So
it seems like,
upsetting.
Especially also, in fact, the more concessions you give to Islamists, the more they take. So the more violence there will be, the more killing there will be. It's like a vicious circle, isn't it?
Exactly, because the more you show that you are actually making concessions to the killers or to the religious fundamentalists, and you're showing that, okay, after every killing, what they're saying, okay, we condemn the killing, but you should not write these things. They're like creating boundaries for the writers. They're trying to indirectly justify the killings, that you are getting killed because you're writing. So these kind of things are indirectly actually how can I say that? Actually motivating or encouraging the killers to do it, that they can get away with the killings. I want to mention that, Rajiv Haider Shobhan, the first blogger who got killed after Shabak started, his murder case just started moving this year. So after 2 years, and also Washikur Babu's killers got arrested by the people nearby, but there's nothing, no trial started yet. So it's like they are making concessions. They're not doing, the cases are not taking seriously. It has to be done by, quick trials. That demand was that you have to bring them under justice and under quick investigation and quick trial, but they're not doing any sort of things, and they're It's like a most relaxed approach in addressing the bloggers' killings and also in taking actions.
I mean, and it's also not just a issue for people in Bangladesh. There's a lot of Bangladeshis here in Britain as well who are concerned and feel threatened. Tell us, and I think you're one of those people as well. Tell us a bit about what's happened around that.
Actually, how can I say this? There are like so many things is happening since 2013. It's nothing new. Since Shabak started, we started our movement aligned with the movement back home. It was a movement against the war criminals of 1971 and the Jamaat-e-Islami, the religious fundamentalist group of Bangladesh who opposed our liberation in 1971 and who were still doing anti-liberation activities and spreading fundamentalism, religious violence, and who we think are behind all those extremists and all the organizations. They're like the parent organization of all Islamic extremist organizations. That's what we believe. So since we started our our movement here, but surprisingly there was no attack. Like in Bangladesh, they were doing the protest in peace while the police were giving them protection and the police were there. And nothing happened in first 1 week, but we got attacked the very first day in Altabali Park on 8th February. They were like, police were there, but they didn't do anything because they were like the Jamaat-e-Islami, local Jamaat-e-Islami, and their supporters were there on the park on that day, on 8th February. From our side, there were like children, there were women, people from different ages. We were there. And on the other side, there were like only men with like two-piece, like head covers and like strong men and they were like throwing abuses at us openly. They were throwing eggs, they were throwing stones, water bottles, cans. Police, I went as an organizer, I went repeatedly to ask the police for help. They were saying, no, it's happening from both sides. They didn't want to address that it's happening. And what happened after the protest broke, when we were coming out of Altabali Park, we actually got physically attacked in front of police. Like about 8 of our activists were attacked. They punched on the face, they kicked our protesters, they were chasing 1 or 2 of them through Brick Lane. But there was no investigation, no one was arrested, nothing happened. And since then, I was getting threats. There was a hit list in 2013 of 10 UK activists and the bloggers and writers, and on that I was the only woman named on that hit list. I went to police several times and I demanded an investigation. I even had a meeting with the Met Police High Commander. They assured me that they're going to look into this matter seriously, but I found out very recently that my case was closed within 2 months. This year again, once that these killings started, what happened, it's very disturbing that I couldn't go home in last 2 years because of these threats, because I know that if I go home I'll be attacked and things won't be like Avijit. He couldn't survive for 2 weeks. He was murdered. After Avijit's murder, there was another hit list from the UK of 10 activists. I went like that this time somebody from Scotland Yard, counter-terror intelligence officer, they contacted me that your name is there. Are you aware of that or not? I requested a panic alarm, that I need a panic alarm to give me. They came to my house and they checked the security and all that. They only sent me a safeguarding instruction, but they closed my case. They didn't do any investigation. After that, there was another global hit list that came out, and it was well advertised internationally. It was in Guardian, BBC, CNN, just you name it, it was everywhere. I went to the police to show them that, this is a hit list from Ansarullah who's on a killing spree back in Bangladesh. So, and I gave them the Facebook link from where I got it. I gave them the screenshot, everything. But like the officer there was not helpful at all. They were like showing, okay, it can happen because you have a different political opinion and all. They took it serious. They showed that, okay, we will do something, we'll let you know. After 1 or 2 weeks, they sent me an email that they're closing the case.
Didn't they say something like, activists should expect getting these
They
sorts of
said that
problems?
later on. What happened afterwards is even more interesting. And then one newspaper in Bangladesh, it's a national newspaper, they started, they published a news with my name and another fellow activist's name. Her name was also there on the global hit list. And then they publicized that we are doing some international activities from here, and Australia cricket team, they cancelled their tour to Bangladesh because of me, and I'm the one responsible for it. And they stole my picture from Twitter, and they posted on the national newspaper. It was a headline newspaper with red ink. And then it went virally online, and people were posting abusive words, swearing at me, sexual threats and all. And I didn't know what to do. I was so scared about the safety of my family back home. And one morning, the police officer, the IGP of police of Bangladesh, she's like the additional IG of police of Bangladesh, he, on a television talk show, in a national television, he was saying the same thing, that me, my other colleague, and somebody from Israel is plotting against Bangladesh and doing, these things.
And what did the police say to you when they heard all of this as well?
Actually, what happened, I confronted the IGP on live TV, and he backed down a little bit, and but when I went to the police here, this time I took Gita Shagel with me, because she knows my case from 2013. So I thought, okay, they're not taking me seriously, so let me take somebody who is well known, and they will take it seriously again. I took her with me. The police officer there, she was there was a barrier there. There were not even barrier between me and her, but she still wrote the case, and I told her everything. I showed her the case and everything. After 2-3 days, somebody called me from the police station, and he was telling me, unfortunately, we are going to close your case again, because I actually complained with Gita. I actually complained to them. I want to complain because I'm coming to you. You know my face, because this is the same police station that I'm going. You know my face. Whenever I come to you, you start saying, hello, how are you now? That means you know me, my case. But you are still closing my cases without doing any investigation. And you were saying that you don't have any evidence or anything to do it. But, well, I'm providing you with evidence. So the police officer who called me, he said, we are closing your case because we don't have anything to go on with the investigation, and we have provided you with the safeguarding instruction. I think that should be enough, and we don't think you are under threat. I was like, you don't think I'm under threat? These are the abuses I'm getting. He's like, if you were an activist, this is normal. If you were in politics, this is normal. People will have different opinion against you, and they will say it. And if you don't like it, come out of online. Why do you go and see it?
Well, it's outrageous, sort of blaming you again for the threats. What can people do both against the Bangladeshi government, which has to be held responsible, as well as to get the police to do something here? What are your suggestions? What can people do?
Actually, from last few months, what we are expecting, whoever we are in outside Bangladesh, like me, Bonna, Abhijit's wife, and other activists and everyone, what I can say, everyone, we are trying to get international community involved and trying to create a pressure on our government so that they take immediate action against those killers, and at least address the situation, that this is a situation that we have to deal with. What our government is doing, they are not even addressing that there is a problem. To deal with a problem, you have to address it. They're not addressing the problem. They're trying to mark it as isolated incidents, and they're not. We don't see enough arrests. We don't see whoever got arrested. The trial hasn't started yet. So we want the community to come forward, whoever are working with the bloggers issues and the free thinking issues, because this is a very serious matter. It's not only Bangladesh issue now, it's like an international issue, and all over the world it will affect you. Maybe today it's Bangladesh, tomorrow it can be UK, because I received a threat very recently from somebody in Facebook, and that person had a profile like somebody, a supporter of ISIS, and had like around 1,500 friends who had like something ISIS flags profiles and everything. I sent it to the police, but I haven't received any reply from them yet. So it is a serious issue, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is, as you say, this is all our fights, and we have to show solidarity and make sure action is taken. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed the interview with Ajanta Deb Roy. I think she raises so many important questions, and I think it's really good to get a personal, testimony and statement about what is happening to so many people in that country. There is really a war on free thinkers in that country, but there is also an immense fight back, and Ajanta really represents that sort of fight back.
Absolutely, and one of the key points that she raises is a state and Bangladeshi government complicity with Islamists. I think that's the one of the important issues. You always have the state part and parcel of this. Bangladeshi government has a formal responsibility to stop these, to arrest these. They're not doing anything about it, and that's why not only the world needs to be outraged and put pressure on the Bangladeshi government, but people, you think, what else can you do? People need to start organising self-defences in Bangladesh against this. I mean, is this one of the solutions that people have to eventually, if the Bangladeshi government doesn't sort of do anything about it, that seems to be the only solution that people have.
But also, I mean, there's an issue of how, European governments are addressing this issue, for example, of Bangladeshis who are on death lists, who live in Europe. For example, we've got UK-based Bangladeshis who are on death lists, and of course the police is really not taking any action. I mean, Ajanta was told, well, activists can, expect to get such things because that's why they're activists, and if you don't like it, then stop being active. Again, always blaming the victim rather than actually putting your finger and pointing at the aggressors.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what the Bangladeshi government is saying to
Exactly.
people. So if you don't like it, do not write, do not oppose the Islamists. That's not acceptable. The fight back is happening, and this program is supporting the Bangladeshi atheists and secularists and condemning the activities of the Islamists in Bangladesh.
Yeah. Anyway, we've reached the end of our program. We hope you enjoyed this week's programs, the issues that we discussed. We look forward to always hearing from you. Do keep in touch. Do keep supporting us via Patreon and other ways. We really get so happy when we get feedback, whether it's on our YouTube channel and of course from viewers in Iran. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely week, and until next week.
From me and Maryam Namazie.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Maryam Namazie.
And I'm Fariborz Pooya.
We're hosting a program called Bread and Roses. It's a weekly program that's broadcast in Persian and English in the Middle East and North Africa, primarily Iran as well. And it's also shown on YouTube internationally.
And we've been doing this since last May. We're coming up to our year's anniversary, and we've had quite a lot of fun making these videos.
We discuss taboo-breaking, free-thinking ideas. The Islamic regime of Iran has called us immoral and corrupt.
And that's why you need to support us. We are the alternative voice in Middle East and North Africa.
Of corruption and immorality. So do support us. Here's a short video from Patreon that explains how you can help us with even just $1 a week. That's nothing. Support us.
Patreon lets fans become patrons of their favorite artists and content creators. It's different than Kickstarter because it's not about one big project that requires lots of funding. It's more for bloggers or YouTubers or webcomics, anyone who creates on a regular basis. Here's how it works. When you become a patron, you're agreeing to give an artist a tip of an amount you set every time they release a piece of content, whether it's a new song, a video, or a recipe. You can set a monthly maximum to make sure that you're always within your budget. Choose an amount, enter your payment information, and you're done. Becoming a patron allows you to view and post in the artist's stream, and in exchange for your support, artists offer additional patron packages, which might include monthly Google Hangouts, music production tutorials, pre-sale concert tickets, or anything they can offer as a way to say thanks. Patreon, empowering a new generation of content creators.